station, Houston, are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
CBS Radio Network, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call the station for a voice check.
How do you hear me?
Have you loud and clear now?
Well, Scott and Mikhail, good morning. It's Peter King with Bill Harwood, CBS Network Radio, and glad to be speaking with you this morning. You know, this is the second stay for each of you on board the International Space Station. Scott, in some of your pre-flight interviews, you spoke about hitting the wall after about 4 months the last time. You're more than 2 months in here, and for both of you, are you even close to hitting the wall right now?
Well, good afternoon, Peter and Bill. Great to talk to you guys. I don't know if it was so much of a wall as it was just kind of getting a sense that you've accomplished everything. You got a little bit of a fatigue level, and you're looking forward to coming home. And that was, the last time I was up here. This time I have a little bit different perspective. I feel like I've moved to the space station. I'm going to be here for a long time. I'm not sure when I'm coming home, although, I do know it'll be sometime in March. And but I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about pacing myself, and having a good balance between rest and work.
And Mikhail, same question. Have you settled in, and are you feeling the similar things that Scott is?
Ну, я не могу сказать, что здесь санаторий.
Well, I'm not saying it's a resort. It's a workplace. And all depends on how well you will manage to convince yourself that you have got to be there, you got to be doing productive work. And we have convinced ourselves, both myself and Scott, that we know what we expect. And at this time, I don't even think about it. I know it's not going to happen too soon. And we will be expecting just working towards the end of the year.
Thanks a lot. Hey, Scott, Mikhail, this is Bill Harwood at the Kennedy Space Center. We've been following the Progress mishap and its impact on you guys, not so much from a supply standpoint, but how it's affected the schedule. Scott, I was wondering if you got any updates about crew rotation. Are Anton, Terry, and Samantha coming home next Thursday, or is that still up in the air?
I think they had a tentative date of next Thursday. I haven't heard of any official announcement. I think Roscosmos, the Russian Space Agency, is going to come out with something here probably pretty soon, maybe today. And I think next Tuesday is when we're going to hear about the future launches. I think they're planning to announce some launch dates, or I don't know if they'll be tentative or firm, but I think we're expecting to hear that next Tuesday.
Well, however it plays out, you guys are obviously going to be a bit short-handed there longer than you originally planned until the next Soyuz flies. What impact, if any, will that have on research in general and on the one-year mission research in particular?
Well, we do a lot of research on board the space station. There's a lot of work to do, not only the science, but maintaining the facilities up here. So when you go down from a crew of 6 to a crew of 3, obviously, you've lost half of your crew time available. So it does have an impact, but it's an impact we plan for. And, as you know, we used to have a crew of 3 on board the space station, and even at one time a crew of 2 people. So it's something we can adjust to, and we'll do just that. I think the science that is related to Misha and I is a pretty high priority. But we just finished today one of the first data takes of this fluid ships experiment, which is a pretty interesting and important experiment where we were in this lower body negative pressure device in the Russian segment doing a bunch of scans, ultrasounds and stuff. and other scans on our eyes and the vessels in our heads. And we don't have another one of those until August. So, I think we'll continue to do science on board, but certainly at a reduced rate.
Scott, it's Peter again, and you're getting ready to do some major modifications and moving around for the new commercial crew vehicles due up there in a couple of years. Reader's Digest version, what have you got coming up ahead in the coming weeks and months?
Well, we just actually finished moving the PMM, which is a pressurized multi-purpose module. It's what used to be called the MPLM, but it stays on board the space station. It's a big closet storage facility that is very important, actually. It really changed their operations up here from when I was here last time. Just having more volume to stow our hardware makes things a lot easier. But that was on the bottom of the space station, on the bottom of Node 1, and we just moved it to the front of Node 3. So it's kind of in plane with the rest of the space station. I kind of like it there. It's kind of like your, closet or garage, so it's a little bit out of the way. I like it a little better that it's kind of in plane. You're not, going out of plane when you get into it, although it is upside down, so you have to turn 180 degrees around. So we did that, and that opens up a docking port on the bottom of Node 1, so we can have redundant docking ports for cargo vehicles, so we can have 2 docking ports for crewed vehicles, and hopefully in the next 2 years we're gonna use those. But to have that docking port in Node 1, we're going to have to rewire the space station to get it ready to have a docking port there. And we're also moving some of our equipment that's in the lab, that'll be for a galley, into Node 1, so there's a lot of work to be done in that area too. So we are doing somewhat of a reconfiguration of the space station. We got some of the work done already, but we still have a lot more to come this summer.
Yeah, Scott, this is Bill. All that reconfig work and, the docking adapters you guys are going to install, I guess you're going to move PMA3 and all of that, plus all that internal wiring. That all assumes those spacecraft are going to come up there in 2017. One of the things that struck me down here is Congress has never fully funded commercial crew, and it's looking like it might not get fully funded this year. I realize that asking an astronaut in space about politics is always tricky, but what do you say to people about commercial crew and the importance of getting those vehicles up and running?
Well, it's really important to us. I think it's really important to our nation. We do the best with what we have, and I'm not familiar with the details of our budget, but I hope commercial crew gets funded at a level that we can work with and keep to our schedule. But again, I don't know the details. As far as the work that needs to be conducted, I think we'll press ahead as if those vehicles will show up in 2017 as scheduled. And if they do get delayed, at least the space station will be prepared for them.
It's Peter again, and for both of you, you're up there for almost a year. You do the work day in and day out. You exercise hard every day, and you do the things to keep the space station running and get into a routine. What keeps this fresh and new every day for both of you?
I think anyone who's in the same building or the same place for a really long period of time, some parts of it become routine, but this is a really big space station. We do a lot of various kinds of work here, different kinds of science experiments. We have over 400 different experiments going on at any one time in different areas, from basic kind of physics or basic science research to medical technology that'll has and hopefully will benefit more people on Earth. We've done a bunch of experiments with the rodents recently that is in kind of that discipline. So the work, although you're in the same place, the work doesn't really get routine. As an example, this week we've done a lot of human research. Like I said, Misha and I, in the Russian segment, using some hardware that's never been used there before, in this lower body negative pressure device, and it's really a fascinating experiment. This Sunday we're going to be doing working with the rodents again. Terry and Samantha just finished changing out a fan pump separator on one of our spacesuits that needed fixing. We have a lot of packing to do before the Soyuz goes home. recently got rid of SpaceX. So as you can see, we have a lot of varied activity. So it really doesn't get routine. And that's one of the great things about being here and working in this program.
Scott, I wish we had more time, but we're told to wrap it up. Thank you both so much, and safe mission. We look forward to speaking with you again.
Yeah, our pleasure talking to you, Peter and Bill.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the CBS Radio Network portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from ABC News Digital.
A couple of disturbances rolling right through the area and even off to the southeast. But first things first, let's begin off. Rolling right through, making an impact across northeastern or northwestern areas of Missouri, even along that I-80.
Hey there, this is ABC News Digital in New York. Can you hear me?
And just south of Lincoln.
Have you loud and clear.
Hail as well. Flooding a concern in Hall County in Nebraska. Some areas are closed due to the flood.
Okay, great. Stand by.
That caused for a couple of accidents, unfortunately. Now, this theme will continue as we continue throughout the day, impacting Iowa all the way back into the Four Corners.
From New York.
Say again.
Hello?
Hello, how do you hear me?
Yes. Hello, space station. Can you hear me?
I have you loud and clear.
Excellent. Thank you.
A case of bad blood breaks Friday on ABC's 2020. What would you do if you saw this?
You're a foster kid. Stop it.
Well, what our is caught
the child take care of him.
will make you stand up and cheer. What would you do Friday at 9 on ABC?
It's been 3 months into their glorious ride around planet Earth. Astronaut Scott Kelly and Russian cosmonaut Mikhail Kornienko selected to spend a year in space on board the International Space Station. The test, seeing how far the human body can go in such an extreme environment. Hello, I'm Ty Hernandez in New York. And now, joining us live from the ISS, astronaut Scott Kelly and cosmonaut Mikhail Kornienko. Good morning to you both. Scott, you were both selected as flight engineers for this expedition. We're going to start with you, though. How has it been living and working in space for the past 3 months? What's the biggest challenge?
Well, the biggest challenge is, being in the same place for such a long period of time and having a pretty heavy work schedule. But, a lot of people do that. And, we get to work in this important program and, get to live in this incredible environment with microgravity and the views of the Earth we have outside. So, it really is a privilege. I think we both feel privileged to be here and do this. The advantage with us is we had both been here before, so it's not new, and it's something that we really enjoy, and we look forward to continuing throughout the rest of the year and next year.
And Mikhail, what are your expectations for your one-year mission?
First off, I expect that we will come up with actual help which would go towards future generation, new astronauts and cosmonauts who will fly to Mars and to the Moon, and that's what we're trying to accomplish here. We are trying to better understand the specifics, the nuances and subtleties which we have progressed tremendously in. And we, these days, can very thoroughly examine the reaction of human body to a lengthy space flights. And that's the focus of our flight. This is not the only thing we're trying to accomplish, but that's the main thing.
Scott, Mikhail just mentioned you are performing a lot of research on the mission, but you are also a living, breathing experiment to see how astronauts might fare on a long trip to Mars, say. Is it true they're going to compare you with your twin brother when you return to Earth to see how the mission has affected you physically?
Well, like you said, there's a lot of research that goes on board here, about 400 different experiments in all different kinds of disciplines. Some of them are related to exploration, and that's the one-year science that Misha and I are doing. You know, how does the body adapt for longer periods of time, and what do we need to do to protect it so we can go further from our home planet someday? And the research with my brother is a small part of that, somewhat related, and that's kind of in the genetic realm of how does this environment affect us on a genetic scale. So they're collecting data from my brother and samples, certain types of scans, CAT scans on different parts of his body. They'll do the same on me after the flight, and we do get samples up here as well. So, you know, that twin study is one small part of a much larger science program we have here on the International Space Station.
Mikhail, there are so many children who will be tomorrow's astronauts who become fascinated by what you do, by the small details. So what can you tell us about daily life in a microgravity environment? What is that like?
Ну, в основном наша жизнь состоит из экспериментов.
Well, most of all, we're doing science. The station is a huge science lab. And we are working here for the benefit of the science. We start our day at 6 a.m. We wake up, have some breakfast, and we run a daily planning conference. And after that, we start work and finish everything up by 6 p.m. And by all means, during the day, we're running physical exercises. This is almost a must. It's either a velo or treadmill or ARAD, which turned out to be outstanding device, which helps us out with a variety of different things that help us to stay fit. We perform hygienic procedures, and it's very similar to how we live on the ground. It's a wake up in the morning, it's work, it's meals, and the only thing we're lacking is a swimming pool that we don't have this luxury up on the station.
Well, I hear it's like living in a swimming pool, so hopefully you don't miss it too much. Scott, I hear that you watched the movie Gravity while on the ISS. That actually, I wonder if that's true. And also it made me think about what you do in your downtime. I mean, Mikhail just gave us a good sense of your daily schedule, but I mean, did you bring your Kindle? What personally did you bring to make the downtime easier for you?
Yeah, so we did watch the movie Gravity. We recently got a projector, HD projector up here, not only for entertainment, but also from some work-related things. We could do video conferences on it. We can run some software. That's important to planning for spacewalks, for instance. But, you know, I read. We have an iPad with some software on it. You can read books. We have videos and movies we can watch on our laptops and on the iPad, so TV shows. We exercise. We have a phone. We can call people, call friends and family, email. We actually have internet connection, which is slow. It's kind of like dial-up, but it does allow us to do some things. And, of course, you know, you look out the window a lot. The Earth is a very beautiful place, and it's, you know, we spend time looking out the window and taking pictures.
Well, I want to thank you both so much. Truly cool to speak to you guys while you're in the International Space Station. Scott Kelly, Mikhail Kornienko on board the ISS. Thank you so much for joining us.
Our pleasure.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.